Hello, I'm Donald Leggett and welcome to this edition of Share Views, brought to you by the financial website London South East. Our guest today is Dr. Kerim Sener, MD of Ariana Resources, an AIM-listed gold producer and explorer focused on Turkey, the largest gold-producing country in Europe. Welcome, Dr. Sener.
Very glad to join you, Donald.
Okay, and why is Turkey such a substantial producer of gold? What are the economic and geological reasons for that?
That's quite right. It is a substantial gold producer in Europe. It's in fact the largest gold producer in Europe, outstripping the combined production of Sweden and Bulgaria, has done for very many years. Produces up to about 30 tonnes of gold per annum. It's got capacity to do perhaps up to 50 tonnes. And there's a lot of work underway in the country to ensure that we reach those targets overall. Geologically, it's in one of the most prospective regions in the world, the Tethyan Metallogenic Belt, which is host to some of the world's largest copper and gold deposits. And that's principally why we're focused on Turkey. Turkey, of course, being a very stable and mining-friendly jurisdiction.
Ariana is both an explorer and a producer of gold in Turkey. So if you could give me an overview of your assets.
Yes, well, we started out as a pure exploration company involved in grassroots exploration, primarily in Western Turkey, although we had other projects elsewhere in the country. And we've turned those projects around so that one of our projects, Kızıltepe, is now a producing gold mine in joint venture with Prasir Construction Company of Turkey. In addition to that, we had a joint venture for very many years with European Goldfields and latterly with Eldorado Gold in the northeast part of the country. That's the Salinbas Project. We now have 100% of that, and we're continuing exploration and development work at that location as well.
And forgive the pun, if we're going to drill down on your portfolio. So we've got Kızıltepe, 50-50 joint venture, part of Red Rabbit.
Correct. The other part of Red Rabbit is the Tavşan project. So that is also 50% held by the joint venture. And we're looking to undertake further exploration and development work at that location as well.
And this week we had some numbers for Kızıltepe, which announced a 47% projected rise in gold production. If you could tell me about that.
Yes, in comparison to our previous production for last year, 2017, and our projections based on our mining schedule going forward into 2018, we expect a significant rise in gold production and to meet our target of 20,000 ounces of gold for the end of this year.
And where is Red Rabbit? Where is Kızıltepe?
Kızıltepe is in western Turkey. It's about 2.5 hours drive to the northeast of the port of Izmir on the western coast. So a very easily accessible area. That's a very benign exploration environment, easy to get around, good infrastructure.
Politically and economically benign?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. And Tavşan, also part of Red Rabbit. You released a resource update for Tavşan
yes, we did.
Recently. What were the highlights of that?
Yes, the highlight of that was just shy of 4 million tonnes in total resource, and it was, most importantly, an improvement, a de-risking of the existing resource, going from what was an inferred indicated resource to a measured indicated inferred resource with a substantial part in measured and indicated. So that will now enable us to move into a feasibility study and environmental impact assessment during the course of this year, which we're planning to undertake with our partners Prasir Construction. And that work is planned to be funded out of cash flow from the existing operation.
And tell me about Salinbas, which is estimated to hold 1 million ounces of gold. To what extent is Salinbas a game changer for you?
It's absolutely a game changer. It's the largest resource in our portfolio as a single project. It's situated in an exceptionally prospective part of the country, in Artvin province in far northeastern Turkey, not far from the Georgian border. There have been a number of major discoveries in that region. Ceratepe is one, Hot Maden to the south of us is another. We've got all the licenses to the north of the Hot Maden discovery, which itself is a 4 or 5 million ounce project at this point in time. We believe that we've got plenty of scope to continue to grow our resource base within our project licenses, and the work that we've been undertaking over the course of last year and into this year is substantially demonstrating that.
And how would you hope to actually get at that 1 million ounces of gold? What's the plan?
Well, the intention is to grow the resource further. So we've got 1 million in inferred indicated. We believe there's substantial scope to continue to grow that, and we'd want to grow that before undertaking any form of pre-feasibility study, for instance. So we're looking at ways to complete that work. We've been in the process of permitting in areas of forestry for a drill program that we may commence in the latter part of this year if those permits come through.
And taking a look at the overview of the business, what's the plan for building the business cost effectively and adding value?
Well, I think we've been a very cost-effective business in comparison to our peers. So our cost of discovery of our resource ounces is running at about $15 per ounce. And that's a key measure for any exploration company. You can determine how successful an exploration company is purely on that metric. The other important part is our joint venture production. We're producing gold at about $600 an ounce, and that's an operational cash cost effectively. But if you take our cost of discovery, add it on top, ignore any future capital demand, that's not far away from our all-in sustaining cost as well. So we're very cost effective both in terms of exploration and the success of our exploration, but also in terms of our production story.
So that all ties into the gold price and the market demand for gold. So what do you think is driving the gold price? Currently it's been over $1,200, $1,300 for quite some time now. Is it geopolitical factors like Donald Trump and the uncertainty that he brings? Is it physical demand for gold? Is it a mix? And where are we in the cycle, do you think?
Yes, well, if you look at the gold price and compare it to where we've been previously, we're seeing the best gold price now for the last 5 years. I mean, there's brief peak sort of a couple of years back, but other than that, it's actually one of the strongest gold price scenarios that we've seen for some time, so it's great for our industry. I think there are various drivers to the gold price, and yes, geopolitical uncertainty is one of those, and you know what we're seeing in the Middle East in particular. The other thing, most important factor, is that over the last 5 years, gold production and indeed the addition of new resource ounces to the books for gold producers has started to tail off because not very many discoveries have been made while the gold price was relatively low. So I think that's going to force feedback into the gold price moving forward. Explorers are going to have to get active again. We're starting to see new capital coming into exploration specifically, especially grassroots exploration, and that's a leading indicator to see the gold price advancing further. Okay,
so that plays into your hands.
Absolutely.
You're sitting on 1 million ounces with Salinbas. You're presumably going to tell me that Salinbas potential isn't reflected in the share price. So what's holding you back? What is the current balance sheet looking like, and are you looking to raise money shortly?
Well, I'll answer the first first. There's no demand for capital at this point in time. We're actually self-funding at this stage.
And how long can you keep self-funding though? If you wanted to actually put the foot to the metal on the Salinbas project.
On Salinbas in particular, yes, that's a very good point. So if we wanted to advance Salinbas at a higher rate,
yes.
And this is of course dependent on when we can clear those forestry permits, then at this point in time we don't have sufficient funds to run a 75-hole drill program. So that's one thing to bear in mind. But we've got sufficient funds to carry on the work that we're undertaking at Salinbas at this point in time, and indeed all our other projects within our portfolio.
To continue to make yourself look attractive to institutions or to partners, you mean?
Absolutely, yes. And I think there's a lot of interest in Salinbas, and we're seeing that interest both in Turkey but outside of Turkey as well. We're looking at possibly bringing in a new partner, but we're not sort of beholden to that as a strategy. We feel that there's a strong indication that we are going to increase our resource base at Salinbas, and we'd like to retain control of that project for as long as possible to demonstrate that before we then partner with a potential Turkish company or other.
So, who owns what with Ariana? and to what extent is there a decent free float for private investors, and why should private investors actually invest in you?
Well, about 7% of the company is held by management and staff. If you take some of our other large investors, Procer Construction have a share, so our joint venture partners separately have a share in us. Eldorado Gold, as a result of the previous joint venture we had on Salinbas, and Starvest PLC, another significant shareholder. So I think with those combined, maybe our free float is about 80%.
News flow. What does 2018 hold for Ariana Resources, and what can we expect in terms of news flow?
Well, news flow has been substantial during the first quarter of this year. We'll, of course, keep updating the market regularly on our quarterly production. And indeed, moving forward, we will be announcing preliminary production numbers as we did on Monday before our full financial quarter comes to an end. So we'll be doing that throughout the course of this year. In addition to that, there's work that we've been undertaking on Salinbas. We're due to announce some further work on Salinbas in due course. In addition to that, any work that we continue to undertake on Tavşan or any of the other projects in Western Turkey. And just general strategy updates from time to time. And
finally, if you could sum up the outlook for Ariana Resources for me.
The outlook for Ariana Resources is very good. We're in a very strong position, particularly because we're now an exploration company that is backed up by joint venture gold production. So we are receiving cash flow from the operation directly. Admittedly, the operation is paying down its loans as a priority to Türkiye Finans Bankası, but once we've cleared those out of the way, the cash flow becomes quite significant, and that would arm us with sufficient capital to go and explore and develop other sites, and in fact grow the company through that kind of activity.
Okay, that's it for now. Thank you to you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Kerim Sener, MD of Ariana Resources. Thanks to you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the London South East YouTube channel for more interviews like this one. Thank you.